Peace be with you. We are going to do a Bible story time. Oh, I forgot one prop. Okay, we are going to tell a Bible story. I decided to tell a story from the book of Jonah because I got a new betta fish, or we're going to tell the story of the book of Jonah. So I got a new betta fish, and I also have my fishing hat on, and I actually have two versions of the Bible because this one was a gift that someone gave me, and it was so sweet. It's like a study Bible. So it's got so many cool little commentaries at the bottom. Oh, it's so amazing, and it gives like historical context on things. Love it. And then this one's just the typical thing that you see when you open up a book and you see the just the writing. So those are the two versions. So we're going to pick which one by flipping a coin over which version we're going to do. And this is my favorite coin. I don't know why it's orange. I found it. That's why I keep it. Because I scratched lottery tickets. This is what I use. So heads, we will do left. Tails, we'll do right. Heads it is. So we're doing NIV version, the study Bible. But before we get into that, actually I don't even know where the Jonah is in here. Oh, and I saved this in here because I talked about this in one of my other videos when I was on a rant, but I saved this because Jerusalem's my favorite place that I've visited on this planet. So much history there. To be able to walk where all these stories were told, where all these stories occurred, where these people lived their lives, these events that shaped the totality of humanity occurred. You get to walk there, Jerusalem. It's just so cool. Okay, let's see if I can find the book. Is Jonah a book? Genesis, Exodus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, Joshua, Jude, for example, Nehemiah, Esther, Job, Psalms, Proverbs, Ezekiel, Jeremiah, Lamentations, Nehemiah, Esther, Job, Psalms, Proverbs. Nehemiah, Esther, Job, Psalms, Problems. Job was a good story too, or Job. Job had a good job. Psalms, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, Jonah, Isaiah. Wait, it's been a hot minute. Ecclesiastes, Song of Solomon. Oh, Song of Solomon has got some drip poetry in it. I'll just say that. Okay. Isaiah, Jeremiah, Esther, Job. Wait, Isaiah, Jeremiah. Where is Jonah? Okay, while I'm looking for Jonah, we're going to talk about Hippo. Isaiah. Okay. Isaiah. Wait. Daniel, Hosea, Jonah. Jonah's. Oh, Joel. Oh, I forgot about Joel. A single bomb devastates a city and the world is ushered into the nuclear age. A split atom yields powerful force such as we have never seen. That's in the book of Joel? Huh? No idea about that one. I completely forgot about that one. Is Joel, Amos, Obadiah, Jonah. Okay. Ugh. It's like riding a bike. Jonah. Here we go. We found the book of Jonah. So before we talk about fish, or this one involves kind of fishing. It involves a fish, okay? Or a whale, which, to be quite frank, anything that's in the water, I'm going to classify as a fish for my storytelling. Because it goes along with the vibes I'm trying to go for. This is my new Hippo. This is Hippo the third, which actually I think I'm going to change her name. I'm going to retire Hippo because I retired the last Hippo I got. Or she didn't get retired. So the last Hippo I had, her and Bob, my apple snail, they didn't get along. Hippo the second. Hippo the first and him were like two peas in a pod, but then Hippo the first got sick. It was really heartbreaking, so she passed. However, when I finally replaced her and I got a second Hippo, and I spent forever at the store trying to pick a new female betta fish. And the one I picked was so amazing. She was so curious, way too curious though. She would like dig in the rocks, she would play in the bubbles, and she would chase Bob, or she would pick at Bob because she was so bored. And Bob, being an apple snail, he can't move very fast. And so he'd be scared and hide out in his shell. Whenever he tried to eat, he would try to eat staying in his shell and eating, because he didn't want to get invoked to a state of fear because of Hippo's curiosity. So I was cleaning Hippo's tank. I ended up separating them because they just could not get along. They were both she was too curious and bored, and he was too scared to come out. So I take my fish sometimes on road trips with me because they live in this small tank. Can you imagine being in a small tank your whole life and seeing the exact same things over and over again? It's so boring. And these fish live for years. Some of them can live up to a decade, past a decade. So I take them occasionally on family trips with me, road trips with me. They're so easy to be portable and take places, and she gets to see so many new different things. So my last hippo, when I was exploring curiosity the other day, I ended up going to eat at this place that I had a really fond memory of. It's really sentimental to me, and they actually got hit by the Texas floods. They had some damage from the recent Texas floods that occurred in July. And I saw pictures of it, and so it was all underwater. Completely underwater. And so I really wanted to go back and see, how they're doing, how their communities recovered after that occurred, after they suffered that. And when I went there, it was pretty dead because it was a weeknight. It was just me and basically the people that work there at the restaurant. And I brought Hippo with me, my other Hippo, and I put her on the counter with me, and I was just having a good time. I ordered 1 glass of wine and a piece of pizza, or 2 pieces of pizza. And everyone kept coming up to her and asking about Hippo and how extraordinary it was, and they loved her so much. And she was having such a blast. She was having so much fun, swimming up to them and doing all the things. And the bartender I was talking to, she was talking about how much she loves taking care of animals and this and that. She's never had a fish before, and how fun it was that I brought my fish with me. And I thought about it, and I was like, this Hippo, I want to use her as bait for fishing because she's not very nice, to be quite honest. I was really upset with her with how she was treating Bob, this apple snail. They were not getting along. I had to separate them. I had literally a different tank for an apple snail and then another tank for my betta fish because they were just so curious. Ugh. So I made a decision when I was leaving because people were so friendly. All the staff came up and wanted to talk to her and see her and everything. And I was like, this is a good home for her. She'll get to meet so many more people. They love her. She's obviously not happy with me. So I got the vibes to gift her to the people at the restaurant. And so I left them a really big tip. Because again, I'm gifting them a fish to take care of. I basically ding-dong ditched and left my fish. However, I did have a really big tip, and I wrote, I will be back for her, dead or alive. I'll come back and see how you guys are doing. Because it's such a good town. Such a good town. This one local came in. You can tell he was working 19 hours, 20 hours a day, helping run, because he was on emergency services or whatever to help. He was a field expert. That's what I called him. So whenever a power line went out, whenever a logistical infrastructure thing went down, he was the guy that went out and repaired it for that area. And he was beat. He was beat up, looked real tired. Came in, sat down, and the bartender knew him. It was so cute. And he's like, what would you like to drink? And he was like, can I get a Shirley Temple? It was so cute. You could tell this dude just had a rough day. He was getting worn out. And so he loved talking about Hippo too. And it was just such a warm, inspiring thing. So I left her on the counter with my receipt and left a big tip, left a note on the receipt saying I'll be back for her. And in trading, right, when I left, I took the plastic cup that they gave me to utilize as my trade back. So when I go back, I'll give this back to them. And I'm like, I'll take my fish back now. If she's even around. Unless you guys got attached to her, which I would love. They make such good pets. And so now I finally purchased, this happened a couple days ago, so I purchased this new Hippo. But I decided I wanna call her Princess Peach. Doesn't she look like a Princess Peach? Look at her little bozo. Just exploring with me. So we're gonna tell a fish story involving, that's why she's here. Because she wanted to hear the fish story. We'll prop her up so you guys can see her too. Okay. About Jonah. Because everyone knows the story of Jonah. I love this story when they told it to us in Sunday school when I was little. Because Jonah got swallowed by a whale. or a rather large water creature. Now, if that doesn't sound scary, right? That's like Pinocchio. Everyone's seen Pinocchio, hopefully. That's like a remixed version of Jonah. Where do you think Disney got that idea from, if not Jonah? Or even Herman Melville, Moby Dick. That's a spin-off off of Jonah too, about a big water creature, a whale, nom-nomming on people. Okay. So we'll read this because it has like a nice little entry. So I'll read it. Sin runs rampant in society. Daily headlines and overflowing prisons bear dramatic witness to the fact. With child abuse, pornography, mass killings, terrorism, anarchy, and ruthless dictatorships, the world seems to be filled with overflowing violence, hatred, and corruption. When reading and hearing about tragedies such as these, and perhaps when experiencing them, we begin to understand the necessity of God's judgment. We may even find ourselves wishing for vengeance by any means upon violent perpetrators. Well, that sounds kind of scary. We may find ourselves wishing for vengeance by any means upon the violent perpetrators. Well, that sounds like it's going to propagate violence. Anyways, surely they are beyond redemption. But suppose that in the middle of such thoughts, God told you to take his good news of salvation to the worst of the offenders. How would you respond? Oh, that's a good introduction to what Jonah did. Because let's talk about it. We'll go jump into Jonah. Oh, Jonah wrote it too. I wasn't aware of that. Jonah wrote about how, so this is Jonah's diary. Jonah's story. Jonah flees from the Lord. The word of the Lord came to Jonah, son of Amittai. Go to the great city of Nineveh. Ooh, it has the word 9 in it. That's fun. And preach against it, because its wickedness has come up before me. So how would you feel? How would anyone feel if someone came up to them, or the word of the Lord came up to someone and was like, hey, I need you to go into this city. And apparently Nineveh is a pretty big city. Nineveh isn't a small town, right? Nineveh is not Jonah, Texas, because I believe, actually, wait, no, do we have a Jonah, Texas, or do we have a Nineveh, Texas? We have some town literally located in Texas that is either named Jonah or Nineveh. But imagine someone saying to you, hey, I need you to go to New York City and tell everyone that they're all wicked and foul and vile, and I want to destroy it unless they change their ways. Can you go do that for me? Thanks. Jonah was like, you want me to go to New York City? Like, where Broadway is, and all these historical, beautiful moments of humanity that has occurred in the civilization. People love New York City. And you want me to go to New York City and tell everyone that they're all wicked and vile and to change their ways? Just to clarify, is that what you said to me? And apparently that is what was occurred, because Jonah was like, I'm going to pass, and as I pass, I'm going to actually pass actively going away from this. I'm going to go actually as far away as I can, because this is not something that I desire. That doesn't sound like a good time. Okay, but Jonah ran away from the Lord and headed for Tarshish. He went down to Joppa, where he found a ship bound for the port. After paying the fare, he went aboard and sailed to Tarshish to flee from the Lord. And if you look at where Tarshish is, I believe Tarshish, he was in Israel perhaps. He was here, and I think Tarshish is like all the way on like the Iberian Peninsula, when it's the isthmus that goes out from the Mediterranean Sea going out to the Atlantic Ocean. So he was going all the way across the Mediterranean Sea, being like, just kidding. Not for me. This is as far as I can go. Let's catch the first ride out of here. Let's do an amazing race to Tarshish. So he did. He got on that boat and he was having a goody old time. He was like, whew, we good. But then, how many times does this happen, right? You start a road trip somewhere and you get like a flat tire. Something happens to your car. Someone forgot something. Okay. Then the Lord sent a great wind on the sea, and such a violent storm arose that the ship threatened to break up. All the sailors were afraid and cried out to his own God, and they threw the cargo into the sea to lighten the ship. That sounds like a bad storm, right? I believe in modern times people call that a shit storm. Whatever is occurring, so many people can relate to having a violent storm in their life where everything falls apart and nothing that you have planned or desiring goes according to what you perceived or desired. This is happening on this ship. This is not a fun boat cruise. It reminds me, actually, there was a recent Netflix special that came out about a cruise ship, the poop ship or something, where the toilets all came out and the cruise ship lost power. And they're just drifting in the ocean waiting for people to rescue them. And they end up having to poop in bags. Oh, it was so funny. If anyone's watched it, it was just hilarious with the behavior that people resorted to when they were on this ship that was like at sea, that was really on like a violent storm, I would say. A violent poop storm, literally. Like the toilets over flooded and there was like poop everywhere and like sewage water everywhere. Okay. Those people on that cruise ship, I forget which Carnival, no, it wasn't Carnival Cruise Line. It might've been. It was some cruise liner. That's what it sounds like was happening. But Jonah had gone below deck where he lay down and fell into a deep sleep. So the entire boat is literally scared for their lives. And then the captain, for some reason, went down to, I guess, the one passenger that was still sound asleep downstairs, because amidst all this chaos, they're like, wait a second. There's one bro that was on the ship. Why isn't he panicking? Hey, I think I saw him sleeping downstairs. Someone go wake him up. Like, that's rude. We're all panicking for our lives and he's sleeping. That's not fair. So the captain went down. The captain went down to go wake him up. The captain went down to him and said, how can you sleep? Get up and call on your God. Maybe he will take notice of us so that we will not perish. It's like, hey, get up. We need you to go pray to whoever. We need all the help we can get. Everyone's panicking and you're the only one not panicking. Can you please join the panic mode? We sounded the alarm and you're sleeping. You missed the alarm. Sounds like my ex-fiance, who, no matter how many alarms she set, they just wouldn't go off. She could not be woken when she was sleeping. Ugh. Elon Musk thinks he needs so much rocket fuel to leave the atmosphere to get movement going. No, you should see my ex-fiance when her alarm clock goes off to see how much energy is required for her to actually get out of bed. Missing that alarm. Then the sailors said to each other, come, let us cast lots to find out who is responsible for this calamity. Oh, y'all, they were so desperate that they were like, guys, let's just go bet. Let's just go gamble and let's just figure out who's responsible so we can blame someone. We need something to do because we're all scared out of our lives. So the best thing we can do is gamble and pick someone to be our scapegoat. And that's what they did. Come, let us cast lots to find out who is responsible for this calamity. Now, Jonah is being very sweet about how they're talking about it, because I'm pretty sure they weren't very nice when he was like trying to not get picked, right? He drew the short stick. They cast lots and the lot fell on Jonah. Imagine him, right? They're all like drawing sticks. And like, take every passenger to take one because we're picking a scapegoat and you have to answer for why this is occurring. Everyone pick a stick. And Jonah's like, oh, come on, man. Let this not be my lucky day. I love playing scratch-offs, but let this not be my lucky day. I do not want to win this lottery. And he picks the short stick. Jonah was probably like, he probably said a few not nice words, explicative words, when that occurred. And so they asked him, tell us, who is responsible for making all this trouble for us? What kind of work do you do? Where do you come from? What is your country? From what people are you? They just started grilling this dude because he drew the short straw. And he was like, oh, shoot. What do I say? What do I say? What label do I say? What do I say? He answered, I am a Hebrew and I worship the Lord, the God of heaven, who made the sea and the dry land. This terrified them and they asked, what have you done? Can you imagine that being like, what God do you, like, what's your reason for this? Who are you? What God do you worship? What religion are you part of? And he's like, well, I'm Hebrew, and the God that we pray to or my worship is the Lord, and this is his definition. The God of heaven who made the sea and dry land. And for these people that are scared out of their lives, they're like, well, I worship Poseidon. He only is over the sea. And you're saying that your God is over everything. So what did you do to tick off your God, to tick off Poseidon, to cause this sea? What did you do? Tell us what's going on. Ugh. This terrified them, and they asked, what have you done? They're like, if you worship the God that's over everything, you're the only one on this boat that does that. Because everyone else named like Athena and Zeus and Poseidon, whoever else was around during that time. And you named this different character. What did you do? We're going to blame you because your explanation sounds the best. What did you do? The sea was getting rougher and rougher. So they asked him, what should we do to you to make the sea calm us down? Sea calm down for us. Oh, sorry. In verse 10, this terrified them, and they asked, what have you done? And in parentheses it says, they knew he was running away from the Lord because he had already told them so. Jonah, first off, bad move. If you're telling people you're running away from God, the last thing you should do when you're buying a ticket, like if you're getting on an airplane, they're like, oh, what's your like business or pleasure? It's like, well, technically I'm fleeing from God. And so I figured flying through the atmosphere should be the best way to flee. I would not want to be on that plane. Like, can you imagine if you like Jonah got on the plane and you guys started hitting turbulence or whatever, you're like talking, taking off. Like, hey, so what are you doing? Like, where are you going? It's like, oh, I'm just fleeing. I purchased the first ticket I could as far as I can go from where I was at. It's like, oh, what are you fleeing from? Oh, well, I got instructions to go tell the city that they're wicked and they're going to all die and perish unless they change their ways. And I was like, that's not my vibe, so I'm trying to flee that responsibility. What about you? Where are you going? And imagine the plane getting all turbulent. And then you like look over at Jonah and you're like, what did you say you were fleeing from again? What? That's what happened to him. So Jonah probably shouldn't have told people that he was fleeing. He should have said he was going on vacation to Tarshish. Anyways, this made them ask him, what should we do to make you calm the sea down? And he says, oh, what a champ. He was like, guys, I'll take him for the team. Chuck me overboard. Just throw me overboard. Pick me up and throw me into the sea. He replied, and it will become calm. I know that is my fault, and this great storm has come upon you. Talk about accountability. That man stepped up. He was like, guys, you're right. My bad. This was my bad. I should have stepped forward sooner. Chuck me into the sea. This is my fault. I apologize. I don't want you guys to suffer anymore. Just get rid of me, and I'm fairly certain the sea will calm down. But can I have a life raft and perhaps some snacks before you guys toss me over? You know, like a flotation device or something. Just kidding. Instead, the men did their best to row back to land. Oh, that's so adorable. These strangers were like, guys, bro, we get that. We feel you. Like, we're all scared too, but we're not going to purposely sacrifice you and chuck you off this boat into this raging sea. Because that's just, no, we're not like that. We don't roll like that. We love all humans. We're not going to just chuck you over. That's weird. No. Let's try rowing back, y'all. Come on, we got this. Let's row back. The men did the best to row back to land. How touching is that? Even Jonah says it. Jonah says, after he told them to throw him back into the ocean, that it will solve the problems, they were like, no, we're going to row and we're going to put forth effort because we don't want that to happen to you. And Jonah was so touched by it that he wrote a line on it. That's really sweet. He was probably so overwhelmed with emotion that he only wanted to include one sentence because he didn't know how to he didn't want to openly, vulnerably express how much he felt touched by that moment. But imagine anyone in that moment, right? If you tell all your friends and family like all the problems that are occurring are because of you, and if you just killed you or got rid of you, then that will solve the problems. And everyone's like, no, we're not doing that. We'll figure out another way. Let's go. Oh, so touching. But they could not, for the sea grew even wilder than before. Then they cried out to the Lord, please, Lord, do not let us die for taking this man's life. Do not hold us accountable for killing an innocent man, for you, Lord, have done as you pleased. Oh, isn't that touching? Yo, these people, even they say it in there, like Jonah writes it. They all prayed to their separate gods. They prayed to whatever paradigm or cognitive framework that they desired, or whatever label they wanted to ask for help. They asked for it. But then in that moment before they threw him overboard, they all spoke to his God, or cried out to the Lord and said, please do not let us die for taking this man's life. We apologize for doing this, because even we don't want to do this, because human sacrifice, to be quite frank, is like caveman era. That's why it went out of style. That's perhaps why human sacrifice is illegal across the world. So, because we recognize that it's a little irrational to behave that way. It's a good story though, right? Jonah told this story so no one else has to do it. To be thrown overboard or sacrifice their life for other humans. Then they took Jonah and threw him overboard, and the raging sea grew calm. Which, to be quite frank, I wonder how long that took for it to calm down, because all the ripples, right? The sea, if you see a raging ocean and all the ripples that occur and the constructive and destructive interference, it's going to take a hot second for that sea to become calm. And so I'm sure it took a little bit. And I'm sure they lost sight of Jonah when this all occurred, because, right, can you imagine if they threw him overboard right away and everything was just like, bloop, fine. And he was just in the waters, waiting water right there, being like, see guys, I told you. So it must have took a while where Jonah disappeared from sight, so these people couldn't perceive and then watch the storm unfold, because they would just pick him back up if they could see him and be like, oh, well, hey, can we pick you back up now? Imagine him waiting in the water, being like, I don't know, guys. I don't know if it's time. It did get really calm really fast, but I think I'm good treading water for a couple hours, or whenever, another ship passes by, or wherever the current floats me to. Ugh. Anyways. At this, the men greatly feared the Lord, and they offered a sacrifice to the Lord and made vows to him. Well, that's very sweet. Which, to be quite frank, I wonder if they went and found Jonah after that occurred. Because how did Jonah become aware that that's what they did? He got thrown overboard. Did they write him letters? Maybe they sent a courier pigeon. I don't know. Maybe word of mouth spread. And he heard the story when he found land again, or he got puked up by the whale or fish. And people were like, oh my gosh, are you the guy that got thrown overboard? Oh, we heard about you. Because I'm sure the ship made it to port or whatever after 3 days, right? Because he was in the fish for 3 days. Anyways. Now the Lord provided a huge fish to swallow Jonah. And Jonah was in the belly of the fish for 3 days and 3 nights. Talk about probably not a good experience. Can you imagine being inside, imagine Pinocchio. Remember when he got swallowed by the whale? And Jiminy the Cricket? I believe that's who got swallowed by the whale, is it not? Did his cat get swallowed too? I don't know. His little kitten that was with him? Imagine being in a whale, because I'm pretty sure that whale dove to different depths. I wonder how he pressurized, diving down. Did he eat the squid or whatever was going on? How did he not get, was the acidity a skin tox, because a skin peel, a chemical skin peel, except over his entire body? I have so many questions. Maybe he had some sort of stuff he rubbed on his skin to create a barrier before he got swallowed by the whale. Or maybe the whale had GERD, so it was less acidic because the GERD, wasn't as concentrated, because the whale always had acid reflux. I don't know. See, these are the things. Anyways, that's why I put my fishing hat on, because it's a fishing story. Because there are some big fish out there that are capable, groupers. There's some big groupers out there. But he might be curled up in a ball inside. I don't know how tall Jonah was either. I mean, he could have been Kevin Hart's size. So fun-sized. Definitely not an NBA player. That'd be a little tall, I would think. A little uncomfortable, a little cramped. People think flying on an airplane is cramped if you're a basketball player. Kevin Hart would probably love any seat he got, because he can't, he's got so much leg room because he's fun-sized. So maybe Jonah was fun-sized, so perhaps the fish wasn't as big as it was required. Or maybe it was a pod of dolphins. that helped him, and they swam him into, or orcas that took him to his shore. But it didn't sound as cool that way, so Jonah said that he got swallowed by a fish. I don't know. Whatever occurred to him, it was traumatic. Very traumatic. He was out there lost to the ocean for 3 days and 3 nights. Does not sound fun. Maybe he was symbolically swallowed by a huge fish. As in, like, the ocean became this huge fish, right? Because he was lost, just floating in the currents, wondering what's going to happen to him. Super cool. I guess I've gone over my 30-minute lesson, so I guess I'll... Okay, anyways, I'll skip over chapter 2. He says a prayer, and I guess that was enough, and the Lord commanded the fish, and it vomited Jonah onto dry land. That was nice, because I'm sure he was over that place. One time, I got a chemical peel, or I got a laser peel on my face. I have some videos of it. I look like a tomato. I look terrible, like a peeling tomato. And I worked out too soon because I was like, nah, I'm gonna work out, this is fine. But you have doing that, you have it's open wounds on your face. Because you microabrade it, like use a laser to dermabrade your face. And so I ended up getting like a staph infection. I got it like on my body, it started appearing on my back, and I was like, what happened? So I had to get on antibiotics because I wasn't compliant with the instructions after I got it done. So I'm sure it took him a little bit to recover from whatever occurred in his skin. Because if you guys have ever took a bath for a long time too, you get really raisiny. So I'm sure he needed to kind of make his appearance look a little normal again after being in the belly of a whale for 3 days, because he probably did not look or smell good. So I'm sure he took a little vacation before he went to go deliver his message to Nineveh. But we go to chapter 3. Jonah fulfills his mission. Jonah goes to Nineveh. Then the word of the Lord came to Jonah a second time. Okay, so thankfully he had time to recover. Go to the great city of Nineveh and proclaim to it the message I give you. And Jonah was like, I will go this time. My skin is flourishing. I look like baby skin right now. I don't look like a raisin. I'm good to go. Let's go. Jonah obeyed the word of the Lord and went to Nineveh. Now Nineveh was a very large city. It took 3 days to go through it. Bro was having a hard time navigating. That's a big city. If you go to New York City, it'll take you 3 days too. Jonah began by going a day's journey into the city, proclaiming, 40 more days and Nineveh will be overthrown. But I believe... Okay, the way I remember the story is... Or the way I remember someone telling it was like, Jonah was like not wanting to do this. He went kicking and screaming. He got up on his soapbox in the middle, like, can you imagine being like this middle of this like plaza and just being like, 40 more days and Nineveh will be overthrown. Okay, bye. Any questions? No? Okay, bye. Gets off his soapbox and runs away from the plaza. And people are like, wait, come back. What did you say? What did you say? Your skin is glowing. You're going to stand out. Why does your skin look like baby skin? And he's like, I don't know, but 40 more days and Nineveh will be overthrown. Can you imagine? People are probably like, what? Like, can you imagine if someone walked into a church and be like, hey, 40 more days and this paradigm's going to be overthrown? You'd be like, what? What'd you say? What'd you say? And that's what the Ninevites did. The Ninevites believed God. A fast was proclaimed, and all of them, from the greatest to the least, put on sackcloth. And Jonah, and it says, when Jonah's warning reached the king of Nineveh, he rose from his throne, took off his royal robes, covered himself with sackcloth, and sat down in the dust. This is the proclamation he issued in Nineveh, by the decree of the king and his nobles. Do not let people or animals, herd or flocks, taste anything. Do not let them eat or drink. But let people and animals be covered with sackcloth, which I don't know what sackcloth is. Maybe it's like a potato sack. I'm unsure. It sounds really vintage and more like an ancient type vibes. Sackcloth. Let everyone call urgently on God. I would assume like sackcloth perhaps maybe is like wear your hand-me-downs. Don't wear your, or maybe it's wear your best. I'm unsure. Let them give up their evil ways and their violence. Who knows? God may yet relent and yet with compassion turn from his fierce anger so that we will not perish. When God saw that they did, and how they turned from their evil ways, he relented and did not bring on them the destruction he had threatened. Jonah's anger at the Lord's compassion. Jonah, who did the bare minimum, right? He said 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He said 8 words. 40 more days and Nineveh will be overthrown. He said 8 words. And this entire city that took 3 days, this is a big city. It took 3 days to get across it. After just 8 words, the entire city completely changed what they were doing. And he even got to the king. And the king made a decree being like, y'all, listen to this dude. We're not doing this no more. Let's go. Time for a revelation. And then Jonah was like, really? Lord, really? Do you see all the things they're doing? It's as if, like, someone went to go tell President Trump, being like, President Trump, 40 more days, and the United States will be overthrown. And then everyone's like, wait, what? Wait, what? And then Trump's like, I feel you. I feel the vibes. All right, guys, fun's over. Put on your sackcloth. People would be like, no, we want to see justice. What Trump did was wrong and bad. We want to see justice. Everyone that he did, we want to see something happen, man. No. And that's how Jonah was, right? Because it was as if the Lord pardoned all the people within Nineveh, and Jonah was upset by it because Jonah really wanted to see some people be a sense of justice of what he perceived was justice and judgment. And he didn't think that understanding everyone was something, and not destroying certain people was the vibe that he was going for, that he was hoping for. So he got upset. But to Jonah, this seemed very wrong, and he was angry. Who wouldn't be angry? Right? When President Trump got elected or nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize, people were like, absolutely not. And I would argue, I could make an argument that he quantifies for it. I can make an argument that McDonald's deserves a Nobel Peace Prize, okay? I can make a quantification that my beta fish deserves a Nobel Peace Prize. It's rather easy to do, but to be able to perceive past the surface layer, right? Because it's so easy to get caught up in all the chaos and turmoil. But to try to like downplay or talk poorly about another person is just really disheartening to hear, right? I remember for instance, I commented on an Instagram post because I guess Trump is building a ballroom in the White House. And I was like, why are people so upset that he's building a giant dance, a celebration room? It's a ballroom. It's meant for parties and celebrating the beautiful, the nostalgic aspects of life. I said, I don't understand why people are upset that he's building a room to honor the nostalgic aspects of life. And people projected their own comments into that because I said he's building something to honor the nostalgic aspects of life. People don't really host funerals in ballrooms. Perhaps they do, I'm unsure. But a ballroom is usually meant for some sort of celebration, again, to celebrate the nostalgic aspects of life. People celebrate for so many different reasons. So people in the comments, oh, it was so much fun. People got all up in arms at me being like, be honest, if that was President Obama that did that, would you be saying the same thing? And I'd be like, if anyone was building a cosmic-sized dance floor, I would try to inquire how to get an invite. And I told another person, I was like, bro, I hugged Obama at my graduation. I don't care about what human it is. I'm going to give him a hug, and I'm going to celebrate someone that desires to celebrate. Everyone expresses themselves differently. I'm not going to judge people. Like, some people make some different decisions, right? Some people make unique and intriguing decisions. However, I'm going to support them regardless of what they choose to do with their life. Because that's the way you support others and understand others. Anyways. He prayed to the Lord, isn't this what I said, Lord, when I was still at home? This is what I tried to forestall by fleeing to Tarshish. I knew that you are gracious and compassionate God, slow to anger and abounding in love, a God who relents from sending calamity. So he's bummed. He's like, I wanted to see some chaos and violence go down. And instead, you demonstrated what I feared, which is you have astounding temperance, you're slow to anger, and you have a lot of love. Those are the things I don't desire right now, that I want to see inflicted on these people. Apparently, Jonah has some bad blood with whatever happened. He's got some relatives or some history or heard some stories, and something that occurred in Nineveh did him dirty. Someone from Nineveh did him dirty at some point in his life, which is why he probably is so bitter about God being slow to anger and abounding in love and sparing them. He even says, now, Lord, take away my life, for it is better for me to die than to live. That's how upset Jonah was that God spared Nineveh. It is not much different than the reactions people do to other people that get out of prison sentences, that are labeled certain things, that win certain public offices. People get so upset. Jonah was so upset that this city didn't get destroyed and he didn't get to see people die, that he asked God to take his life because it was better for him to die than to live. Okay. Someone was a little upset at not seeing physical violence and chaos. A little weird again, but I understand because human history has always been written in blood. It's humanity's favorite writing modality, blood. But the Lord replied, is it right for you to be angry? I was like, Jonah, please tell me how you're feeling. Why are you so upset that you didn't get to see violence and chaos and blood run through the streets like you were desiring? Can you tell me more about what made you angry that didn't occur? Let's talk about our feelings, Jonah. Jonah had got out and sat down at the place east of the city. There he made himself a shelter, sat in its shade, and waited to see what would happen to the city. This bro camped out, waiting to see it destroyed. He made his bag of popcorn. He got it all ready. He picked the perfect view. The east, the sun rises in the east. He wanted to see that as the sun's rising. See that city burn. Jonah. Then the Lord God provided a leafy plant and made it grow over Jonah to give shade for his head to ease his discomfort. And Jonah was very happy about the plant. Okay, maybe Jonah went to the outside the city to pout because he was grumpy. And even then, God was like, Jonah, it's hot out here. What are you doing? And Jonah's like, no, I'm mad. It's like, okay, well, you're going to burn, so I'm going to give you a plant. I've spent so much time getting you new rejuvenated skin. What do you think all that hydrochloric acid in that whale's stomach was doing to your skin? Okay, baby fresh, blossoming skin, and you're going to ruin it by not sitting yourself out in the sun, turning into a leather raisin. That's not happening. Here's a tree. And Jonah was very happy about the plant. He was like, you're right. I don't want to ruin my smooth baby skin that I just got. But at dawn the next day, God provided a worm which chewed the plant so that it withered. Oh. That must have been a very hungry caterpillar. Or a worm, whatever it was. Oh, that must have been a big grub. I have some grubs in my garden that sometimes when I dig them up, I see them. They're huge. They scare me. So if I saw one of those eat an entire plant that had provided me shade, I would be a little concerned. I'd be like, you need to lay off the steroids, bro. Go back to reading books. Go be a bookworm. Go be an inchworm. Don't be a megaworm that eats plants that provide shade. When the sun rose, God provided a scorching east wind, and the sun blazed on Jonah's head so that he grew faint. He wanted to die and said, it would be better for me to die than to live. Yeah, because you don't have any SPF back then. You're getting sunburnt. I'm assuming he might have been fair-skinned. I'm not sure. If he felt like he wanted to die, I remember my first time I had a really bad sunburn. It hurts your body. It really, really hurts. Okay? But God said to Jonah, is it right for you to be angry about the plant? It is, he said. And I'm so angry I wish I were dead. Have you ever been so mad that you're just like, I'm so mad at you that I want to die? Oh, Jonah. But the Lord said, you have been concerned about this plant, though you did not tend it or make it grow. It sprang up overnight and died overnight. And should I not have concern for the great city of Nineveh, in which there are more than 120,000 people who cannot tell the right from their left hand, and also many animals? And that's where the book of Jonah ends. Because basically, the Lord gave him a mic drop. Because Jonah was complaining about the plant that sprung up. You have been concerned about this plant, though you did not tend it or make it grow. It literally was given to him. It was like a freebie. He got a free handout, and then he got angry when his free handout got taken away because he didn't do anything to maintain it. He just lay there underneath it, sulking. And then, so he did nothing. He just sat there and was like so angry at this plant and, butthurt about it. And so then God says to him, well, that city has 120,000 people in it. I'm sorry you didn't get to see them all go up in a burning, inferno. I'm sorry that's not what occurred. But, every life is sacred, including the animals. Look how upset you got over a single plant dying. Now imagine what would occur if 120,000 people just died. Just because you thought that they deserved to be punished and lose their lives. Anyways, isn't that a fun story? And I like it because it's short. It was only 3 books, 3 chapters. Because Jonah felt like he didn't want to write anymore, because Jonah was like, I can't really come up with a good explanation to argue that, so I'm going to stop writing my book here. That's all I want to write. The end. And so it was the end. So thank you everyone for listening to this Bible story. And hopefully you had fun. I'm gonna go do something else with my day now. Okay.